Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Small Town Tourist Podcast, where we experience and explore everything that makes small towns great. I'm your host, Abbey, and today we are hanging out in Foley, Minnesota at the brand new location for the Divergent Stars Theater Company, where we are hanging out with the cast of Little Shop of Horrors. This is one of my favorite musicals, and it's coming to life at the Red Carpet Nightclub in downtown St. Cloud. It all kicks off on November 14th. There's shows on November 14th, 15th, 16th, 19th, 20th, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. There's a lot of options to see this show with like multiple show times and multiple casts, which we will get into with our interviews. So if you want to catch the show, I highly recommend it. This cast has been putting in a lot of work and they're a really talented crew. So you can get tickets at centralmntheater.com. I have the link down in the show notes below for easy access as well. But please enjoy our time hanging out with the cast of Little Shop of Horrors. Okay, so I will start by having you give your name, where you're from, and what you do. So basically your role with the show.
Okay, my name is Tom Sykenen. I am originally from Hibbing. I live now in St. Cloud, and I am the director of Little Shop of Horrors.
Super exciting.
Yes, very exciting.
So that's where we are recording tonight. If the audio sounds different and strange, it's because we are in a large building.
Yeah, we're actually in a garage.
We're in the garage of a large building. So again, hanging out with the Divergent Stars Theater Company here for their production of Little Shop of Horrors. You are the director. What's kind of your background in theater?
I have 33 years of experience. I am, currently still a theater director at Quarry High School. I haven't done it for a couple years because our theater department is kind of on the mend right now, but I have for 33 years I've been teaching, so almost consistently all 33 of those years I've been doing somewhere between 2 and 3 productions every year. So in fact, this production I did a list because Mr. Donahue Sean wanted me for the synopsis. This is my 86th directing job.
86?
86. I've been doing this for 33 years, and then
That's
when
insane.
you were a teacher, usually at a school, especially if it's some sort of medium-sized or smaller school, as I've gone to, Quarry being a kind of a medium-sized school, I was doing at one time 3 productions a year. I was doing a fall production, the one act, and then usually a musical in the spring. So
Wow.
3 for almost 15 years. So there's 45 right there. So, and then I did prior to that, I have, before this, as of last spring, I had done 9 productions with Art and Soul, which is housed at St. Peter's School. And I also directed all except one of their summer productions for 13 summers. So
When do you sleep?
in between place. If you have to ask my wife, because she says the same thing. She's like, "Are you coming to bed?" Because along with that, I'm also a full-time teacher.
Right.
So yeah, and an English teacher. So
Oh, wow.
research papers.
Yeah, it's not just yes or no, this is the right answer.
Yeah,
It's
and
a deep
then
dive.
For quite a few years, I did speech. So that was a January, February, March thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, busy.
Booked and blessed, as they say.
Yes, it is. But something, honestly, when it's something that you love, or also something that you're kind of good at, it goes by. You don't really think about that. It's a blessing. You go and you say, all right, this is what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Watch the creative juices go with you and then also with the actors. And
Right.
It works, yeah.
That's amazing.
And I have done, Sean always laughs at me because he's like, how many productions have you done? I said, well, 86. I said, and honestly, other than Grease 3 times, and I've done Guys and Dolls twice, everything else has always been the only time. I've only done it once.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so I've done 35 plus musicals, different musicals, from small musicals to kids theater and stuff like that. This is the first time I've done Little Shop of Horrors though.
Really?
That was my stipulation when I came onto this. Sean asked me this last summer, said, well, if you could, what musical would you do? And I said, I would love to do Little Shop of Horrors. I've never done it. It's always really hard to tackle because of the plants, and it's not a huge musical.
Right.
It's actually 9 cast members because there's some doubling. We actually ended up with 17.
Okay.
So we have 17 members with the understudies, and we have a little bit larger with the Skid Row group. But yeah, So you could do this with 9, and at a high school, unless it's an extremely small school, you want to have something that's probably 20 to 30 people.
Right.
So this never came about. It was always like, well, we could do this in a smaller setting, and then when I was working with Art and Soul, a man-eating plant doesn't really quite fit into the evangelical scheme of theater. Yeah. So yeah.
This is a little dark.
No, yeah, it's a little dark, so it's fine. But yeah, other schools have done it, but they've done like 2 or 3 casts where we'll do like, Thursday night and Saturday night are one cast, and so they can do those
right
where they can still get the 20 people in.
Yeah,
so
get everyone the reps in.
Yeah. So
that's crazy. Yeah, Sean was telling me you guys have like an entire cast of understudies.
Yes.
That will be doing a special production.
We actually have some of our major actors who are we like to call them the first run people, and then our understudies. Quite a few of our understudies are actually our major actors, and then they're understudies with like just a little bit smaller part. So for instance, the person that's playing Mr. Mushnick, Austin, as the understudy, he's the dentist.
Really?
Which is not that much smaller of a role.
Yeah, that's
so so we have some people, and then we have, for instance, one of the characters in Act 2, we have a stream of 4 people who are soliciting Seymour for after Audrey 2 becomes really important and kind of takes off. We have, for our understudy, we have one person, Rebecca, who is going to be playing 4 parts.
Holy moly.
So she's one of the characters when we do for the first run, and then when we do the understudies, because everybody sort of moves up, all the other people, 3 people who are those characters, they move up to bigger speaking roles. Rebecca's like, well, I get to stay and be 4 of the characters now rather than 1. So yeah, so that kind of fun. So it's been a learning experience too, because this is the first of 86, is the first time that I've actually directed a play that has the backing track. We've always done musicals that have at least a small piano or the keyboard, and then maybe
some sort of
trumpet,
live element.
Smaller, so maybe the drums, everything like that, or a full orchestra too. Like when I was at Recorey High School with Tony Hutar as our pit band, we used to have like 20 kids in the pit band. So I was kind of used to that. This is the first time in 86 productions that I've used from the company. We've done a backing track, which is wonderful, but it provides no give. Like you can with a pit band, you can slow things down. It's always got to be that speed.
Yep.
That's interesting. It's definitely a learning curve for me as a director also, because I have to make sure that everybody, like whatever I do gesture-wise or whatever I have them doing movement on stage, they have to also be in corresponding where they can't just, here's where we're going to vamp.
Right.
No, you can't do that.
No, you have a mark to hit, and you better hit it.
You've got 2 bars to go from that side of the stage to that side of the stage, and you got to do these 2 things. So it's really you're stuck to that music. So,
but it's kind of fun. I mean, after doing all of these different productions, having a new challenge.
That's
totally amazing.
New. This is also something that I have never. There is no one here in this production that I've worked with before, so they're all brand new.
Oh wow!
Yeah, these are all brand new people, brand new faces, brand new people to work with, which has been really fun. And I haven't had that.
Yeah,
I haven't had that with the high school. You always have the sort of the recurring, hopefully 5 or 10 kids, and then the last 9 productions I've done at Art and Soul, we've had some people that have been in all 9 of them. My wife was one of them. My wife happens to be a sing and a kind of a comedic actress. Well, she was in 8 of the 9 productions. So, yes, I know, it's nepotism. I can't help it.
That's okay. Nepotism is okay in some instances.
Well, when you're smelling from at times, smaller cast, it was like, all right, my wife's name is Rose, and I'll be like, Rose, you're having that part. And as my mom always says, you always cast her really well. And I'm like, well, it's always the comedic part that sort of goes crazy and can sing. That's what it is.
I mean, if you check all those boxes, that's the role you get.
And there's always that character. There's always that character in all kind of classic musicals. The silly girl or the girl that's boy crazy. And
yep,
that's my wife.
Exactly. I love it. And That's honestly, it's just good directing because you know the strengths and you put her where she's going to shine.
Exactly, and she does really well. And this last year we did this last spring. My last production with them was doing Music Man, and my wife is just like, you know something. She looked through the thing and she's like, "There's really no parts in there that I really would like," and she's like, "I'm going to sit this one out." And honestly, for her, it was like the best decision. It was really odd because I'd come home and I'd be so tired, and I'm like, "Oh, we did this and this and this," and my wife would just sit and smile at me and go, "That's nice," and then she'd go to bed.
There's no
I'm
debrief.
like, well, don't you want to sympathize with my director's angst? Yeah. No.
Nope, I'm out. Peace.
She's like, just tell me when I have to come to see the play.
That's amazing.
She didn't have any angst. So it was like, well, shouldn't you share some of my angst with me? Nope. Didn't want to do that.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Exactly. So she, and she's kind of the same way now. It's kind of funny because I'll come home and usually we get done with practices at 8:30, and so I live almost halfway through St. Cloud. So by the time I get to her, it's usually 9 o'clock, and she'll come in, and I'm like, "You look so fresh-faced." She's like, "Well, I've been sleeping for an hour." I'm like, "Thanks a lot." I'm like all tired to come home to correct papers for 2 hours, and I'm like, she's like, "Well, are you having fun?" I said, "Yeah, actually, I'm having a lot of fun." There you go. She says, "It's worth it then."
Yep, exactly.
So, staying up and being a little tired in the morning, so what?
It's
okay.
worth it,
It's
especially
worth it.
when you see that play come to life on opening night.
Totally.
It's like, oh my gosh, it was
Totally.
all
I am so excited. It's 2 weeks from. It'll be 2 weeks from 3 weeks from this Thursday we open, and it's on the 14th, and I cannot wait. Not because I just want people to see, and also because I'm so proud already of. We're still in the process, and I'm so proud of what has actually transpired by now. I mean, it's so much fun. And it's also really fun. It's a fun play. It's fun. It's silly, and it can be fun. It's a little sarcastic, and it's fun. It's a really good experience.
For sure. Yes. I'll be talking with some of the cast members tonight, and I'm really looking forward to it. I love these episodes. This is the second one I've got to do with Divergent Stars, and this format is like, if I could do this every week for my podcast, I totally would. One of my favorite questions to ask when I'm doing these kind of like rotate the people through the cattle doors here. Mm-hmm. What is something that the audience needs to be on the lookout for when they come to see the show?
Actually, look for, with the plants, if they are in sync. We are making sure we're going out of our way. We've done how many practices with the people that are doing the plants. You'll see initially the first two plants you'll see, one of them is activated by somebody under a counter. You're going to see one that's actually, he is Colin, the gentleman who plays Seymour. He actually is got one that he's doing the puppet underneath. It looks like there's a fake arm. And then the third one you're going to see is actually one of my former students from Rocori who auditioned. He saw me on Facebook that they're doing the auditions and saw that my name was associated, and he's like, "Hey, Mr. Seikkinen, this is you, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Are you still at Rocori?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm thinking about auditioning. Robert, try out. It'll be fine." Well, he turned out to be he's got a smaller part in there, but he's also one of our puppeteers. So much so that he was like, the medium-sized puppet, the first one that talks, I could do that. And out of the blue, it's like, okay, and Sean's already told me, "Where did you find him?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, it's kind of like, my posse. They kind of come out of the woodwork. Yep. So, he graduated almost 10 years ago, and It was like, "Robert," he walked in, he's got facial hair now. I'm like, "Where did that happen?" I'm like, "God, I feel old."
Aren't you? You're supposed to be forever 17.
Yes, exactly. But look out for that, and just see the we're going to have a singing plant, and realize that at least for the last two plants, the one that's there for Al of Act 2 and the one that comes in about 2/3 of the way through Act 1, they are the actual voice that they are is coming from somebody else who's going to be off stage. So we had to sync them up, and it's been interesting. That was, and like I said, and a lot of people who do this production as a director, when you start looking at some of their little foibles or some of their little comments, 9 times out of 10, it's the director say, "Everything went really well. It was getting that darn plant so that his mouth was moving while the other person was talking," and they've tried things like having the person in the plant. Well, that doesn't work, because if you have a mic there, it's a pretty close thing.
Right, so it's going to get in the way.
It's
It's
kind of
gonna
hard
get
to see
bumped.
exactly, and you'll hear backstage stuff. So it's best to have somebody else. Also, something that a lot of people are probably have seen before, definitely different from the movie, is our Audrey is a female plant. It is a female voice. So, which is a nice change from people.
That's
I think
a
that'll be
pivot
fun.
that I'm
Yeah,
looking
exactly.
forward to.
And the person that we have playing, I think most people will be very pleased with. She's got this beautiful, very, very rock singer voice. So Audrey is a little gruff. She's, instead of being more of the Motown singers, she's more Pat Benatar.
Okay, I love that.
So that part's been really fun. I absolutely love it. The lady that's doing it, his name is Michelle, and it was just like, she's just fabulous. And when she came in, she had this very gruff voice, and I'm like, that's Audrey. Yeah,
Found it.
Exactly. I'm like, that's going to be the new Audrey 2 voice. So that part's been really nice. That's been really fun. So we're trying. All I could tell you is that our aim was to do the best we could with the material, but also for all those people who have seen countless productions of Little Shop of Horrors, this is a new production. This is a different production. This is one that our aim is that when people are done after 2 hours, they go, you know something? I've seen other versions. That's one of the better ones. They did this different, and I like it.
A little bit of twist on it. I love it.
We did a little twist. A couple things are a little bit different in there. We tried
Same
to
dish, different seasoning.
Yeah, kind of. And also then it's, it's instead of one side, we have a thrust stage. So we have audiences on 3 sides of the stage. We're also doing it in a very enclosed area. We're doing it in, which is red carpet is, I've never done a production there. I went and saw, I'm guessing the same one, the Company production this last summer. And just, Sean had me there so I could see the way that it was production. I'm like, it brings up its own challenges because unfortunately, unless you're facing out toward the main audience, your buttocks is toward one of the areas.
There's a lot of booty in that
to the
room.
back of it. Yes, you got to move around. So those are those challenges as a director. So, but it's a good challenge. It keeps me on my toes because I keep walking around, going, okay, now when you're saying that line, if there's audiences over there, this is what they're going to see. So we got to cheat out a little bit.
Right.
So they're all like, okay, all right.
But it's making everyone stronger actors because of it too, which is awesome.
And a lot of them, I would say easily over half the people in the cast have never been at the red carpet, have never been on stage with CMT. So that's also something that's cool. We have a lot of new people. So every production, it seems like we're getting, Sean says that every production we're getting more and more new bloods, which is nice.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love it.
so,
a strong theater community in central Minnesota.
You know something, and God love them, because that's wonderful. And that's the thing. And I honestly have to say, I absolutely have loved working with Central Minnesota Theater. Sean Donahue and the whole group, all the backstage people, have been so welcoming that I'm the new kid, and I come in with some experience, but I'm still learning.
Yep.
They're teaching me some new tricks.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for letting me pull you away.
No
I
problem.
know you're a busy man and you got a cast to attend
to.
I
do. We got to do.
We're in the pivot here.
I got to do the understudies act 2 tonight. So, all right.
Well, thank you so much.
Thanks.
I will have you start by giving me your name, where you're from, and your role with the production.
My name is John Leach. I play Orrin, a.k.a. the dentist. I'm from St. Cloud.
Okay. So, Orrin, for someone like me who has only ever seen the movie version, how do you fill Steve Martin's shoes?
I mean, you don't. You don't. You pay homage to, you respect, you try to make it your own, but you make little nods to that because, I mean, how can you get any better than that performance? That's it. It's like the one that everybody has to live up to.
Yeah.
So, you embrace it, but then you try to make it your own, but you're never gonna top that. So I'll do what I can and see what happens.
So what's your background with theater?
I've been doing theater since I was very young, probably started in junior high. Actually did the Little Shop of Horrors in 2003 or 4 through Great Theater. I played Seymour. It was my first big leading role I ever got in like a big production, like citywide, big company. So it's kind of cool to come back and do a different take on it. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's memory and remembering how we did it and seeing all that. But I've been doing theater on and on for a number of years. Took a little break for about 10 years, and then came back last spring with American Idiot.
Okay, very cool. So what was kind of the audition process like for this production?
Pretty simple. Just kind of I heard about that they were doing auditions for this after, keeping in contact with some of my friends that were in Rocky Horror, and I've known Sean for a long time, and I thought it's okay. Came in, and it was pretty simple. Come in, sing a song from the show, and read a couple of lines, and then, all right, we'll let you know. And then we had a call back and got to kind of meet a few people, and it was pretty laid back, nothing crazy or very positive. Everybody was like, I remember seeing some of the people we were in the group with. I'm like, wow, that was like an amazing performance. Like, I am blown out. It was really positive, like one of the more positive ones I've ever, everyone was, because we kind of knew each other and a little bit, even people you didn't know, it was pretty comfortable. So very, very easy-going.
Did you go in with any expectations of like, this is the role that I want or anything like that?
I had kind of a couple that I had in mind, just, time-wise, if I'm going to commit to a show again, it's, I'm getting up there in years, so commitment time gets fewer and far between. But I always thought if I could do Seymour one more time, that'd be fun. Or if I had the opportunity, I would do The Dentist. One of those two was always like, do the show again. One of those two I would love to be able to, and I got that wish to get to do the opposite spectrum, so it's going to be fun.
That's amazing. So how has rehearsals been going for everyone?
Good. Blown away at the cast, just how everyone is just progressing in their roles. It started off at the first read through. You're seeing growth and vocalizations that are just like coming out of nowhere, and everyone really helping each other, and really, a really positive atmosphere. I have to admit, I've missed a few due to circumstances, things here and there, but I come to rehearsal and it's like, you never left, and everybody's been super positive, and it's a really, really good group to work with and kind of grow with.
Yeah, it's cool that you guys have like the whole understudy cast as well. Like it's got to be such a fun dynamic, because with everyone kind of having some overlapping stuff going on, like you kind of get in the head of other people, I would assume.
Yep, and as an understudy, you put in so much work to have to go in at a moment's notice, but you're not going to get that moment's notice maybe. There's that possibility, and I've seen with some different productions when they have the understudy, it's if the other person comes in, all of a sudden they're like, they're gone today, and the understudy comes in, they're always like, oh, thank you so much. I don't know how I'm going to do this, if you're gone, kind of thing, So it's really cool to see that opportunity gets there, because these actors are really good. There's a reason that they're under that, they have the role they do, everyone has the role they do for a reason. And being able to perform that alternate cast, that's going to be really, really awesome, and I think is a huge, motivation for everybody to kind of get, be really in the moment in the scenes.
Well, it's good incentive for audience members like me who are like, I want to see both casts.
Right. Everyone brings something different.
Yeah.
We all have a different view of character. So I know sometimes, even like principals and understudies will have talk like, oh, I'm going to do this, or they'll come up with something like, oh, hey, what if this happened? And like, oh, I didn't think of that. Or they'll see something like, I was doing the one now and the understudy, so I was like, oh, I like that. There's a lot of communication that can happen in it, which is paramount to creating characters. Get as much input, and you're trying to portray something, and everyone takes it differently.
Makes it a team sport.
Yeah, kind of. Go team! And it really is. I mean, everybody brings their part to the table, and their talents and their abilities, and it's just, how do you make it mesh all together and find that sweet spot? And sometimes it takes a little bit but this has been such a good experience of like, it seemed to just like suck in right away. And all right, now let's focus on the other stuff that's going to make the show interesting.
Exactly. So speaking of stuff that makes the show interesting, I like to ask people, what is something that the audience needs to be looking for when they're at the show?
In general, or
Just like what's standout moments?
standout moments? I think honestly seeing the progression of the plant and the puppetry is going to be a very, very shocking kind of, whoa, how are they doing that kind of moment? I think that's going to be the biggest, oh my God, how is that functioning kind of, and as we've added the pieces, it's just every time it's like, okay, I see what there's going with that. So there's going to be a very nice change in, seeing the plant grow through time.
Right.
I think that's going to be visually a really, really interesting point to see. And, as the plant grows, it's kind of the, almost like the weight, like the plant grows, Seymour diminishes kind of thing. And, it's like the opportunity. So you'll see a lot of characterization kind of following that too.
Okay, so all eyes on Audrey too.
Yep, pretty much.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of practice today to
absolutely.
chat with me and share your insights. I really appreciate it.
Fun, Dad. Come see the show. And please don't hate me because I might seem a little sadistic and a little crazy, but that's okay because I probably am a little crazy. So
It's a character we love to hate.
yeah, exactly. Give the people what they want, and I hope I don't disappoint.
You'll be great, I'm sure.
Thank you.
All right, well, my name is Summer Welch. I'm playing Audrey in Little Shop of Horrors. I am originally from Farmington, Minnesota, south of the cities, but I currently live in St. Cloud.
My best friend from college is from Farmington.
Really?
Yep.
That's cool.
Yep. I don't think I've ever met anyone else from Farmington.
Really? I mean, it's hard to come by.
Well, I'm so excited to have you to chat about the production today. So I was kind of lurking and catching a glimpse of your rehearsal. Girl, you got some pipes on you. You can sing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
What's your background with theater?
I've been doing it since high school. I did a lot of the musicals and a lot of the plays. I was never really a choir kid because, I don't know, I just didn't want to sing that kind of music, I guess. But yeah, I got into musical theater and everyone was like, girl, you can sing, join choir. So I joined choir my senior year, which was really nice. But then, yeah, I took a break for college, focused on studies. And then after COVID and graduating, all that stuff, theaters were opening up again and I auditioned and I started getting into plays around 2021 and I've been doing it since.
Okay, and are those all plays here in the central Minnesota area?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, did you go to college here? Is that what brought you up here?
Yes, I went to St. Cloud State. So.
Okay, go Huskies.
Yes.
So what are some of the other productions that you've been part of?
I just finished up over the summer. I was one of the eels in Little Mermaid up
fun.
in Cold Spring. Before that, I was a part of Footloose at Great. Probably my most notable role in the area was a few summers ago. They did Grease at the Ledge Amphitheater, and I played Marty, which was really fun. I never expected to get a part like that because I never thought. Same with this too. Is like, oh, she's the pretty girl, and I'm always like, I'm always wearing my glasses and hair up and stuff. I'm a pretty nerdy person, so being like told like you're the pretty one, I'm like, oh, thank you. Like,
Okay, go home tonight, take a good long look in the mirror, and realize you are the pretty one. So. Should have been doing video of this podcast. So what was your audition process like with this group for this show?
Well, we signed up online, we got in, and yeah, I went in, I practiced a song beforehand and went in. This is a show that I've always wanted to do for a few years now, so I kind of already knew the songs. But yeah, we went in, sang a little bit, did a monologue, and then we left, and then they called us back for the next night or 2 nights later or whatever. We went in groups of like who was called back for Audrey or Seymour or whatever, and seeing who would match up with who. And then later that night or 2 days after, they sent me a text or a message, and yeah, I got the part, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
So Audrey is what you went for. That was like, you
Yeah.
walked in, you're like, I'm doing this. We're doing the damn thing.
But I would have totally been happy with one of the urchins too. I think all of those girls are a fun role to play too.
So Audrey, in my head, it's always got the high squeaky voice. Is that what you're going to be doing for this as well?
No.
Okay.
A lot of people portray her as like the person who originally played her. I can't remember her name right now, but she is, she's kind of have that like airy and like she's got that kind of
Like the baby voice.
yeah, and like more New Yorker kind of voice. But Skid Row, where this takes place, is actually in LA. So it would be weird to have everyone have like a New York accent in LA. I think like for Mushnik and for other characters, I think that fits. But for her, I also don't want to characterize her,
Yeah.
I want to make her realistic, and so keeping kind of more of my voice similar to how it is how I'm going about it, just to keep the realism and not, dip into like too charactery, because
Right.
it is deep subject matter, and the humor is there. You don't need to add a funny voice to
Right.
it. So
I'm glad you bring up the Skid Row being an LA part of it, because that's something that's always bothered me about the movie. Like, why does it look like it's taking place in New York, but Skid Row's in LA? Like,
yeah, I think people just like assumed, or I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I don't get me wrong. I love New York. I love the setting of the movie. I think it's great. But yeah, Skid Row is in LA. I've never been to it.
no,
but,
neither have I. Just
but I doubt it looks like New York.
acutely aware.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So what has rehearsal been looking like for you guys? When did you initially start getting together for the first reads and all that?
I can't really remember. I feel like it's been like 2 months or so.
Okay.
Because it's usually, or maybe 2.5 months total of rehearsal time. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I mean, they've been fine. They've been a little bit more relaxed than other rehearsals that I've done for other companies. It's kind of like, okay, once we get what we're done, we're good. Like we don't like run it multiple times, which can have its pros and cons. But
Right.
yeah, I feel comfortable with my stuff for the most part, and whenever I get a chance to, rehearse with everyone else, I take the most out of it, or at least try to.
We all do the best we can with what we got, right?
Yeah.
So I like to ask people when I do these kind of like cattle call interviews, what is something that the audience should be looking for when they're at the show?
I don't know. I feel like just, the talent that each individual person has, that's a hard one. I feel like just look out for the songs and have fun. Don't come in with any expectations of anything. Just enjoy your night, Don't try to compare it to anything else.
I like that. Because, yeah, there's like sometimes you walk into something and you set the bar too high in your head. And
Yeah,
then
or too low.
Or
and
too
then
low.
You're like, oh my God, what? Yeah.
Right, yeah. And the thing about just what I'm overhearing from your guys' rehearsals here is it's such a talented cast. We're just like, yeah, show up. Enjoy the talent, bask in it for a little bit, because there are some really talented people here in central Minnesota putting on some great productions.
Yeah, and like by no means are we professionals, but like we're good at what we do.
You guys ain't no hacks.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your rehearsal tonight to come talk with me. I'm so excited to see the show.
Oh, awesome. Looking forward for audience members.
Well, my name is Cullen Donahue. I am from Sauk Rapids, Minnesota, and I play Seymour Krelborn, the lead role of Little Shop of Horrors.
Incredible. So excited to see the show. What's your background with theater?
Well, I started theater back when I was a little kid. Did a few shows with Great Theater. It's also another theater company in St. Cloud. And at time during middle school and elementary school, I kind of got out of it. But it was 10th grade at my high school that I did a production of Oklahoma. And at first I wasn't going to like it, but then I started to fall in love with theater. I met some wonderful people throughout the years, and I got to play some incredible characters and incredible shows. And now we are here, and I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. It's been a long time, and this is my first lead role I ever got.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. That's crazy. 10 years, and this is your first lead role, and you're playing such an iconic lead role.
The movie was a major hit with Rick Moranis and Steve Martin, and I've seen it a few times, but I knew that it was a good movie. I didn't know it was a movie beforehand. That wasn't a musical. I have yet to see that one, but No, I've always liked this musical. I always liked Alan Menken, who wrote the songs and lyrics for this musical, because he's a big name in music with Disney.
Well, I'm so excited to be sitting here talking with you today. What was your audition process like? Did you know that you were wanting to go out for Seymour, or did you have something else in mind?
Seymour was, to be honest, the only role I was going for. I didn't see myself in any other role per se, because I'm 25 years old. I'm not a big guy, I'm not an older guy. This show does involve a lot of older characters. Like a dentist is probably at least in his 40s and 50s in the show. The plant is played by a guy with a deep voice, or female with a great voice. But Seymour was a character that I saw myself in, because I kind of look like him anyways.
You do.
I'm a 25-year-old guy with glasses and a short haircut. I look just like Seymour. So
You do. You fit the bill completely in the best way possible. And you're right, there is very limited roles for younger males in this production. There's limited roles kind of in general for this production. It's a relatively small cast.
yeah, it's about 8 to 10 characters. Maybe more if you wanted to add some ensemble, but there's really only 5 main characters, and that is Seymour, Audrey, Mr. Mushnick, the dentist, Oren, and Audrey too. Other than that, it's the Rosenettes, I'm trying to say that word, and then the ensemble, which we have a few ensemble characters that come in, but yeah, that's about it. The show is really not that big of a cast, so it's incredible what we have. Like, I'm hearing them right now as we're talking. They do a wonderful job. I'm very proud of them, and I'm excited to see what the show comes out of when we open up in November. So
Yeah.
it's super exciting.
It is fun hearing, like, we're set up in like a little garage area of your guys' practice facility, and everyone is sounding so good. Like, you guys are sounding like really confident too. And you're 3 weeks out from opening, so
Yeah, we're getting there. We just started running Act 1 all the way through yesterday. We're doing Act 2 today, and then we're going to just keep going until our director, Tom, says we should do the whole show. So it's getting there. I would say we're right now about 75-80% good on it. There's just some songs that I don't know, because, again, I watched the movie. I didn't really listen to the Broadway soundtrack until a few years later. And then when they came out with the latest one from 2019, I think, somewhere around that, where they had the guy who plays Kristoff from Frozen.
yeah,
play Seymour.
that's right. Yeah, that's
So-
right. I forgot about him.
And it's crazy because the show, I feel like the show doesn't get that much recognized as others on Broadway, because how different it is. I mean, we keep going back to the movie. Another good example is the movie had this ending, the original ending on Broadway, where the plant wins, but test audiences said that it was too dark. So
Yeah.
they changed the ending to where Seymour wins and Audrey and Seymour go on to somewhere that's green and live happily ever after. And then the audience still did not like that.
Cannot be satisfied.
No, so it does get very dark, but it's also a comedy. But the way that our directors like to have it is, our characters are not gonna be comedic, but the comedy is still there. So there might be some ways we say lines that will make you laugh, and some lines that will probably make you fall out of your chairs, because we're just trying to bring the comedy to life.
I'm excited to see it and your guys' own unique twist on it, which I love. So what ending are you guys doing then? Are you doing
We are doing the original
traditional?
ending. I know there's some versions out there, probably with middle schools and high schools who do this, that do the good ending, but I would not say ever do the good ending. It's a boring ending. Who wants a happily ever after anymore?
It's supposed to be a dark comedy. You can't have a ride off into the sunset with a dark comedy.
Yeah, and I don't get why they cut that out of the movie, because the original ending in the movie, all the puppet work and all the sets and everything is crazy that they're like, oh, we're just going to change that. These test audiences for movies, they...
Bending over for the test audiences.
Oh, it's crazy nowadays. It's like, oh, well, if it's not Marvel or Star Wars or Disney, I guess it's not good, which is not true.
So, with you being in your first lead role position, what does that kind of look like for you in like the rehearsal space behind the scenes? How is like the leadership aspect been for you?
Right now, I don't see myself as a leader. I see myself as just a person who goes to rehearsal and enjoys the time with his cast and crew. I'm not good with being a leader, but if I feel like I need to say something, I'll say it to the cast. I was probably gonna before opening night say some sort of speech that I had to come up with, because they usually have the leads do that. But this cast doesn't really need a leader. They are doing everything they can to put on a great show, and they're doing one hell of a job right now. Like, they're putting all the time and effort, and we're still finding new ways to come up with the show. Like, me and Summer, who plays Audrey, we just are like, well, how are we going to make this death scene of you more interesting? We're like, why don't we just make it the most overdramatic death scene ever? Because the music, how it works is it's so slow, and we're like, we can have like you coughing of blood or something. Like, you can grab me by the shirt and pull me down. Like, you can do whatever you need to make this more interesting, because I feel like that's what it should be. Shows should be interesting and entertaining. Like, I'm trying to write a play that's hopefully next year we'll debut this play. I can't really give much into it, but it is based on a story about a children's author who has written in my opinion, one of the greatest English children's stories of all time. So that's all I'm going to say for right now.
Little teaser nugget there.
If you know who I'm talking about, and if you're listening, you probably know, but it involves a blue train of some sort. That's all I'm going to get. But and one person that I can't think enough is my brother, who runs this whole company. He's been doing this for 5 years. So about 5 or 6 years ago, back when COVID happened, I came to him multiple times after I graduated high school. I said, Sean, we should do a theater company. I think me and we can do something here. And at time he was busy trying to figure out what he wanted to do. But then when COVID hits and we started talking more, I said again, Sean, we should really start a theater company. This is the time to really get people back together, because we're going to get back together at some point during this pandemic. And so in 2020 we sat down with a few people, and in 2021 we came out with a few shows, and I think 2021 is when we did Rocky again, because Rocky Horror was something that left St. Cloud before COVID, and I know a lot of people were very upset that Rocky Horror left St. Cloud. And our good friend Amy, we asked her if she would want to come back and direct it, and she did, and I got to play Rocky in that show as a skinny guy playing a muscular blonde guy.
It's not always about how you look, it's how you present.
My brother thought it would be funny. I thought it was hilarious. And they're like, are you gonna wear the gold tights? I'm like, no. And they're like, okay, what do you want to wear? Well, I'm a big wrestling fan. Can we get me like a wrestling singlet? We can paint it gold and glitter. And that's what they did. And
Beautiful.
I wear that. That was the first show I did coming back into theater, and it surprised me because it was a show that I'd never ever done before. I never dressed up in clothing like that. I never did a show like that. It was very more open to me, and the cast that we had was glorious. We did a wonderful job, and that was like, okay, I think I'm starting to get back into theater, a little more. And then I started doing a little more shows with the company, and then I tried directing a show, Wonka, with my girlfriend, and I was too busy, and so she took over as lead director, and she did a wonderful job. Like, I love Willy Wonka. It's probably my favorite movie of all time. The older one, not the Johnny Depp one. I have to make that clear, and not the Timothy Chalamet one.
We're talking Gene Wilder here,
talking
people.
Gene Wilder. I can't tell you how many times people are like, what about the Johnny Depp one? No, I don't like Tim Burton, and that's probably going to make people so mad. I don't like Tim Burton. But after that, we did Fiddler on the Roof. That was really fun. I did not audition for that. I was actually asked to be in that show because they were short of cast members. The music director said, can you do this part? And I was a singing Russian, and I had one solo part in Fiddler on the Roof, singing on the table. And that was fun. I almost fell off the table, but
It's fine.
It's fine.
You lived.
But yeah, I did a few more shows. And then when we were saying about Little Shop, I was very interested in doing Little Shop, and so I auditioned for this. I was very surprised I got the role. The other members who auditioned did a wonderful job. I thought they did better than me, but I was super surprised I got the role, and I'm really excited to get on stage and show people what I can do, per se.
Well, I'm excited to see it. I'd like to wrap up by asking the question, what should audience members be on the lookout for when they come to see the production?
Like I said, I think the show is going to be very interesting, and that's in a good way, because it makes you think, it makes you want to see more, it makes you want to come back and see it again. We have a lot of great ideas. We have a lot of great puppeteers. Our Audrey 2 plant is huge. It's big. It takes 2 people to work it, and if you really want to see a wonderful Audrey 2 plant eating me, Audrey, and Mushnik, and all these other people, it's going to look really interesting and really cool. So yeah, if you want, that's what I would say. Come see the plant. The plant is the main source of the show. We got a lot of great ideas, and we're so excited to get this show going.
Come for the show, stay for the puppet.
We'll probably allow you to take pictures with the puppet.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your rehearsal today to come chat with me, and can't wait to see the show.
Yeah, I can't wait too. Thank you very much.
Perfect. My name is Austin Southers. I live currently down in Crystal, Minnesota, but I'm from central Minnesota originally. And I play Mr. Mushnik, but I'm also the understudy for Oren, the dentist, and then the plant as well.
Okay.
So
You have a lot on your plate.
a little bit for sure.
At that point, you just have to memorize the entire show.
Almost, yeah. I've been joking because we are doing an understudy run with the Mel who plays the plant. Like, don't get sick, because otherwise I will have to play pretty much all the male parts except for Seymour. So I was like, please don't get sick so I don't have to do it.
Yeah, let's stay really healthy. Here's
Yep.
some vitamin C.
Exactly.
So what was your audition process like? Did you have a certain role that you had in mind when you showed up?
Well, so this show is kind of one of my favorite shows. I've been, watching this show since I was probably before 10, because I always remember this, and I can't remember the actor's name, but he was in this and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh, yeah.
Spaceballs, so I always grew up watching it. And then I was always a big Steve Martin fan as well.
Who isn't?
Exactly. So, I always knew I wanted to do it, but it was actually funny because, I've talked, my significant other, Ashley, she's one of the urchins in the show, and we saw it down in the Guthrie, and it was funny because I was talking to her. I was like, it's Mr. Mushnik is one of my dream roles, but it's I'll have to wait 30, 40 years until I can play it. And then we find out we're doing the show, we audition. It's no, I got to do it now. So, but yeah, Mushnik and the dentist, which I get to play both of them in the run, so it's exciting. I get to knock both birds out with one stone.
Well, and talk about two different personality types that you get to tinker with and toy with and try different things out. That's awesome.
It's super fun. It gets a little confusing at times because I'm really big into doing accents. We're on stage playing pretend, so you got to go the full gambit. But their accents are completely different because you got Mushnik, where I kind of have this European, almost European immigrant in New York who still has some European accent but has that Brooklyn accent. And then you got Oren, who is this 19 greasers, almost down south accent. So it is a challenging when I have to jump back and forth and hop in between them.
Right, yeah, and then your brain's okay, well, I'm doing this, and then tell my mouth to do this.
Or certain patterns and how to say certain words. It's okay, this character really, they lisp on their R, their R's are more W sounding. And, but it's one of the fun parts of doing the job.
So with doing something like accents, I'm assuming you have some theater background. This isn't your first rodeo.
No, that's not my first rodeo. We joke around about it because I typically get typecast as like German characters a lot, like What is das, or in the previous Rocky Horror, I played Dr. Scott, who had a German accent, and then we also did a Willy Wonka rendition where I had to step in for Augustus Gloop. Mind you, I'm 27 at the time, stepping in to play an 11-year-old character. But definitely have had times where I've had to bust out that accent. But again, that's one of the fun parts of the job and kind of learning the role.
Yeah, for sure. So was theater something you did as a child then and carried it on to your adult years, or?
Not so much as a child. So I used to like do some charity events when I was younger in my youth, and for 1 year when we were doing it, we were doing a dinner theater, and we hired a director to come in, and I was just going to help cook and serve. I had no interest in acting and never did at the time. One of the actors like backed out, and then like the director's like, well, you're doing this, so you need to go in. So then I was forced into it. It just worked out. Then it was kind of like, oh, this works out, and I can just do this in my free time. So no, it was kind of more of just stumbled across it, really.
Okay. What's the dynamic? Like you said, your girlfriend is also in this production?
Yes.
So
yes.
that makes it fun for you guys, I'm sure, to be at practice and on all the shows together, or is it like stressful?
No, we've done several shows. So this is our third show together, and we've done shows where we've had to be opposites of each other. We've done shows where we have to be significant others with other people, and that's fun too. It's like, oh wow, you have to literally watch your significant other on stage pretending to be a significant other with somebody else. No, it's a good dynamic because I mean it's one thing that we just bond over, and so it's nice to bring it together. It is kind of exciting because during the understudy run, she'll be playing. She's the understudy for Audrey, so she'll be stepping in, and then I have to step in for the dentist, which is an interesting dynamic for anybody who knows this show because that is like an abusive relationship couple. So
Toxic.
Exactly. We have to play into the toxicness. So it's like, I'm happy that it's somebody that I'm comfortable with, because it can be hard to emulate that or be comfortable enough to play those situations.
Right.
So
yeah.
I'm lucky enough that when I get to do it, it's with somebody I'm already connected with.
Right, and then that's something that you guys can work on at home too.
Exactly.
If you ever desire
yeah.
to. Like not the toxic part, but like acting and making sure everyone's feeling comfortable with their roles and
No, for sure, yes. But
that's very cool.
It's always fun to have her in the shows, and then it's super cool whenever we need to run parts or run lines or sing parts, because then you already have somebody that you know knows the content.
Right, and you're not like trying to coach someone like, okay, no, I need you to help me, but help me better.
Exactly, they know what you're going through. They're at the same rehearsals and everything, so it's been super fun, and I'm sure we'll keep doing more together.
Well, and then like the ride home and the debrief, like, oh my God, can you believe that happened?
Exactly, yeah. Like definitely where it's like, can you believe this happened today? Or definitely it's nice to have that one extra person to gossip with.
Well, I'm sure it's really fun for like your friends and family to come see you guys be in the same production together. Like that's got to be so amazing.
Yeah, honestly, one of the first time she met my siblings was literally at a show. Meeting my family members was right after the performance. So my siblings and family, a lot of their first interaction with her was not even Ashley, but the character she had to play. So
that's really fun.
Yeah, so it's super cool to have, and definitely a unique thing that we're grateful to have in our relationship.
Incredible. Well, I love wrapping up by asking what is something that the audience members should be on alert for and looking for when they come to see the show?
I'm just going to say this because I'm also, I'm a man of many hats. The lighting, I'm actually also the lighting designer for the show. So I'm just going to toot my horn over there, and hopefully you guys enjoy the lights.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of rehearsal today to come chat with me, and I'm super excited to see this production.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us and everything and giving us some of your time to come out here and interview us.
I'm Kate Durkison. I am from St. Cloud, Minnesota, and I'm the stage manager for Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay. Stage manager with the production.
Yes.
What's kind of your background? Is this something that's new to you? Are you experienced in stage managing?
Yes. So I started with the company last year. I was a phantom last year in the production of Rocky Horror, and I was also cast in the ensemble for American Idiot. But then I volunteered to be stage manager so I could get some more experience doing different things with theater.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what's kind of like, let's use this rehearsal as an example. What are you doing during rehearsal to manage the chaos?
Yeah. Well, we are helping out Tom with helping with the cast, helping out lines. I'm trying to do lots of things behind scenes, trying to help find costumes. Tom has gone like giving out the line cues, running the music. I think behind the scenes, I'm just going to be out there, just trying to be the liaison between like the other production staff and the cast, and trying to get them trying to help them get what they need.
You're kind of the gopher for like whatever someone
Yeah.
needs, you're the person that's there for
Yes,
that.
yeah.
You're kind of keeping the whole thing afloat at that point because, I mean, trying to manage like all those moving parts, especially in a rehearsal setting where there might be 2 or 3 people going off to run lines,
Right,
or
yep.
there might be like costume, help me with this, or props. Like, there's a lot going on. So you're juggling a lot.
Yeah, it's especially when it gets closer to the show, it'll be a lot busier.
Yeah, for sure. With this role, what is something unexpected that you've had to take on? Like going into this, you're like, oh, I didn't anticipate doing that.
Probably becoming I feel like I'm the carpool coordinator. Because we were in Sauk Rapids when we first started rehearsals, and we moved out to this space midway between. And it just seems silly that all of us were driving from St. Cloud to Foley when we could all carpool. So
Carpool coordination.
carpool coordination.
Add it to your resume. Master of all things. I love it. Well, I love asking the question to people, what is something that the audience should be like on the lookout for when they come to see the show?
Say, look at some of the background characters. You know, Mushnick and Audrey are really, and Seymour, they are front and center a lot, but you have the Ronettes who are definitely doing their thing. They're the Greek chorus. Some of the little side characters that come in, like the customers, they're really neat. Especially during that first number, they have the entire cast out there, so you'll see some surprises.
Okay, I love that. No one has given that answer yet, so I'm super excited for that. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your rehearsal today to come chat with me and being on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for checking out another episode of the Small Town Tourist Podcast. If you're looking for tickets to the Little Shop of Horrors production in St. Cloud, again, that link is down in the show notes below. If you're looking for more content from the Small Town Tourist, you can find me at the Small Town Tourist on Instagram and on Facebook, and you can check out the blog, thesmalltowntourist.com. I'll catch you next week.